Look. Does you recognize this? Oh, I guess it's on both sides.
I don't know sports. It's a donut.
Look at the bottom, dummy.
Oh, Tim Hortons. It's
They're
the best.
having a-
It's the best coffee in Canada.
Right.
It's the only coffee you can get in Canada.
Hello, Colin.
Hey, Mike.
We're here today to talk about one of the greatest films ever made.
I was kind of waiting for Jay because I always do reviews with Jay.
Yes, we've never done a review together.
Yeah, we were gonna do some sex pervert film.
What? You and Jay?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I'm not surprised.
What else?
But now we're doing a different kind of sex pervert film, Robocop 2.
How long can he last?
Robocop 2, the sequel that's frowned upon. I don't know. It doesn't get the love.
Yeah,
It's kind of like the Predator 2 type thing.
Yes,
You know?
a very good analogy.
I think it's one of those things where I think it would be appreciated more if it wasn't following one of the best sci-fi movies of all time.
Yes.
Where is Clarence Bodiger? Madam, you have suffered an emotional shock. I will notify a rape crisis center.
I've got a long history with Robocop, not the person, but
Okay.
the franchise, I guess.
Yes.
So like one of my very first jobs in the industry was working on the Robocop TV series that nobody knows is actually a thing. But in Canada, in Toronto, in 1994, they shot Robocop the series. That was my first job. Working on
The first episode of Robocop the series, or the series itself, was adapted from one of the versions of a script for Robocop 2.
Really?
Yes, I don't know if I've ever seen this series, but I was reading information about Robocop 2, and I guess the original idea was that Robocop got like pulverized in the beginning of the movie. He got like kind of decommissioned and pulverized into a dust. And then 30 years later, he's reassembled somehow, and he's in the future. And he has to be Robocop again, and he falls in love with a different computer inside of his own brain.
Oh, okay.
He has like a love affair with a female computer in a virtual universe in his head, something like that. So
Okay.
it was really kind of much different than Robocop 2, which is basically
Okay.
Robocop 1.
Yeah, except everything is like a step down.
Yeah, there's subtle differences,
Yeah.
which we'll get into, but
I'm a huge fan of the first one. I mean, you guys did the review of it, but Paul Verhoeven is one of my favorite directors. Like the first movie, I think, is probably one of my favorite movies of all time. It's in my top 10, if not my top 5.
okay.
It's amazing. So like working on the show was a huge blow because it was like a PG show for kids. Yeah, he like stops criminals by like throwing trash can lids and stuff, and he like shoot a
Doesn't mow them down with
chandelier.
bullets?
Yeah, and he had this like little puck thing that he probably because it's like Canada, so he'd throw up this like puck, like a magnetic puck, and he would stick to a door, and then he would shoot that, and then the door would explode.
Hockey-related injuries.
Yeah, probably. He had like a hockey stick that would come out of his leg.
Yeah, shoot maple syrup out of
Robocop.
his arm.
Ah, it's sticky. You got us, Robocop.
Is that really what happened?
No.
Oh.
He just had like so he'd shoot chandeliers or something or tip over bookcases and they would fall on the criminals instead of fucking blowing their heads apart and exploding them.
Sad.
But it wasn't as wacky as you described. But
Okay.
there was like a holographic love interest.
Okay.
Some woman who got like troned and like
Yes, that's it.
so she would appear like as a hologram and she had access to the city's computers and
Okay.
stuff like that.
And Robocop was in love with her.
He had his robo boner.
Robo Chick, the original Robo Chick.
That's right.
No, but so they made Robocop, and they said, "Oh God, we need a Robocop 2.
Yeah.
Can you get it out in a week?" And they said,
Pretty much.
We have a great idea, but we need to really work on it. And they said, just give us whatever trash you can write in a week.
Who did the original script? It was Ed Neumeyer, I think, that came on from the original.
Well, Frank Miller was involved. I don't know about the first one. There
were like 3 different versions, I think. So maybe Frank Miller came on. I think Ed Neumeyer said no. He wrote the original, and then Frank Miller came on and did his script, which was apparently unfilmable, they said. Which I think has been made into a comic. And then I think Ed Neumeyer came back and did a rewrite on Frank Miller's script.
Right.
And then we got...
And then Irvin Kershner was ripping pages out of the script and throwing
What the hell's a robot?
What?
There's so many things, a few things about the original that make it so good. And I think it's Paul Verhoeven. You've got Ed Neumeyer, the script, and then you've got Basil Polidoris doing the score. It's like this iconic score.
Yes.
And you get rid of all of them for the sequel, and then you end up with Robocop 2.
Well, to Irvin Kershner's credit, I think he maintained a lot of the spirit of the Paul Verhoeven.
He did, yeah.
He had a good amount of squibs and violence, and then also the satirical TV ads. It was basically the same exact movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
Good morning. I'm Casey Wong with Jess Perkins. Top story.
Like, I think the first 20 minutes is really, really good, and it's kind of hits you. Like, start off with that Magnavolt ad.
Yes. John Glover appears.
And it won't even run down your battery.
And it's like the even car theft.
You think it's a movie. You
Yeah.
think it's the movie. And then they cut to the news, and the lady says, the Amazon nuclear plant just
Has
had a
melted
meltdown.
down.
It's going to be the worst ecological disaster in the history of humankind. Don't they always say that? And then move on. It's like today's news.
It's great, yeah. It's like all the ads in Robocop now are real.
Do you ever do that when you're like flipping through the news and it's just like you see a story and it's like 600 people died in this thing, or the Amazon nuclear power reactor melted down, and they just go like this. If the Exxon Valdez crashed and leaked out 10 billion barrels of oil and killed the entire wildlife on the Alaskan coast, I would just go like this. and back then when it happened, it was like, oh my God.
It was like a nightmare for
singing
decades.
song, "We Are the World," and raising money, and the whole world. Now it's just, if that happened. So Robocop 2 is like prophetic. It's like
pretty much.
Or Robocop, I should say.
Yeah.
You haven't dismantled your MX stockpile.
Pakistan is threatening my border!
That's it, Buster. No more military aid.
Because the city of Detroit did go bankrupt in the 90s. They filed for
true.
bankruptcy. A corporation could have come in and bailed them out.
Yeah, so that seems to be the whole kind of idea behind this movie, is that Detroit is bankrupt. They've taken a loan from OCP.
Right.
That they can't pay back. So now OCP is going to take possession of Detroit and privatize everything.
It's an anti-corporate, anti-privatization, dystopian nightmare that's filmed in sunny Texas. That's one thing I wanted to talk about, but we can get to that later.
Okay.
It's interesting because it's like, other than the opening, you get the opening and it's at night, and the criminals are
This is insane.
I love that like long shot. I don't know if it's one take, but it's like the old lady with the cans, and then you think the guy's gonna help her, but he steals her purse.
This like car comes from the background,
Yes,
like knocks her cans over.
And then two hookers beat him up
Yeah.
and take the lady's purse that he just stole, or the stuff from the purse that he just stole. And
This
then,
is like going up the food chain to like,
Yep,
the top predators.
criminals. And then a bunch of thugs are robbing the local gun store, which is surprising that it was still in business.
Yeah.
It hadn't been robbed before. It had to get robbed at some point. And then Robocop shows up in a very heroic opening, and they blow his car up.
And I think they even say that the cops are on strike.
Yeah, they established that.
So they hear like the siren. They're like, yeah, the cops are on strike.
It's the cops, man. Cops are on strike, stupid. Can't you hear that?
It's interesting because it's not, cinematically, it's not very visual. If you want to create like this kind of dystopian crime land that Detroit is, it's like everything's like sunny and like bright, and they cut to the suburbs. And it's like the wife's out going getting the mail. And it's like, oh,
I think maybe it's just like the downtown is like a shithole or something like that.
Don't live in the downtown and you're all good.
Yeah, it's true. It's like LA.
OCP is really not doing a very good job.
No, but it was established in the first movie that they wanted to build Delta City, I think.
Yes.
And I think it was on top of Old Detroit.
Yes.
Which is really weird because this movie just seems to kind of reset everything that Robocop did. By the end of the first movie, he kind of like accepted his humanity. He's like Murphy, he says that line at the end before he cut to credits. So he's kind of like realizes who he is.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name?
Murphy.
This movie seems to just start from scratch. He's like back to just being regular old Robocop.
This is a bust.
Right from the get-go. Delta City isn't built, so it's just sort of, okay, it's kind of a little bit of a rehash of the first one, or it's not sort of continuing the themes. Yeah, we get a little bit with his wife at the very beginning. So after this first action scene, he
It almost
murders.
seemed obligatory, like, oh, we got to deal with this
Yeah.
before we could just start shooting people.
Or they shot a lot of it, and it was just like Irvin Kershner's like, fuck it, let's cut it all out. I forgot that's how he talked. I think they went to him last. It was another director who was going to do it and then backed out last minute. And they went to Irvin Kershner and said, let us know, this is on a Friday. They said, let us know ASAP because we're shooting Monday. He said, okay.
I'll take it.
So yeah, he's a journeyman director.
Sure.
He's an old pro. He can deliver this stuff. That would be a scary thing to go into as a director. Just like, oh my God.
I think I saw that Nancy Allen said he was an asshole.
Oh really?
She hated working with him. But Peter Weller said he was a gentleman and he treated all the actors with respect and some kind of.
Probably just treated him with respect because he's Robocop.
Behave yourselves!
Robocop 2 falls into that weird category where the sequel for me is the one I watched the most.
Okay.
I think Jay and I talked about this. It's like Aliens. I think it's just the time I was growing up.
Right.
Like Alien was like earlier, so I didn't really watch that. It's like Aliens, like Empire, Temple of Doom, Robocop 2. There's just a ton of movies where it's like not Predator 2.
Okay.
Predator 1, sure, but certain movies like.
I fucking love Predator 2.
Yes, it's
great.
And like it's Robocop 2. What do? You have lots of Robocops.
Yeah.
If you follow most sequel logic, you have two ways to do a sequel. You repeat the first movie, or you add more of the thing.
Right.
So it's like Aliens, add more of the things. Jaws 2 really should have been like a bunch of sharks.
Yeah.
It
You
should
just
have been like
you always
a
just add an
dozen.
S at the end of the title.
Yes.
It's like Aliens. Like there's that famous James Cameron story where he was pitching the sequel to Aliens.
No.
And he just went up to the whiteboard and he wrote Alien, and then the S was like a $sign. And that was the pitch, and they were like, we're in. Nice. So you just add an S with a $sign. So it's Robocops.
Robocops.
Jawses.
What are some sequels that just added more? I know Critters 2 added more critters. There was only like 4 in the first one.
Gremlins 2.
Well, there's always lots of gremlins.
Yeah.
That's the worst possible example you could give. I won't edit it out.
Predator. The Predator 2 had a bunch of predators
It did at the very
end.
end.
At the
But
very
Predator,
end.
that's a mixture. It's mostly a repeat of the first one, just in a different setting.
Gotcha.
Which is like, that's option 1 for a sequel. Option
Right.
2 is add more.
Which you kind of have
Critters
in
2 had
this.
the giant critter bowl.
Okay, yeah.
There's like 10,000 critters.
Right.
I guess Aliens is the one that is most famous for adding more. So Robocop 2, what would you have done? More Robocops. You could do a story where they say OCP is a corporate entity.
Yeah,
so
they want to like mass
mass
produce them.
manufacture Robocops.
Which they're trying to do in this movie. They seem to, but they don't really lean into it a whole lot.
They're experimenting with the titular Robocop 2. And that's one of the funnier sequences in the film.
That's one of the sequences that I remember. It's called the RoboFlops sequence.
Yes. the attempts that have failed, and it's always a cyborg.
Yeah.
I don't know why it has to be a cyborg.
I think it's just the brain, like they haven't developed artificial intelligence to the point, like we've seen the Ed 209s, which are fully robotic, and they're always huge failures.
They're failing as they can't go down the stairs.
Yeah, and in this one, I think it's got like its foot stuck in a manhole cover or something like that, and it's kind of flailing around. So
it's a Robocane.
Yeah,
is the official name for Robocop 2.
Yeah, so they need like they need the human brain for, I don't know, most of the artificial intelligence sort of things.
So
I guess.
So if you want to have thousands of Robocops, like they would have to have a situation where like there was like an ongoing like war. Mm-hmm. And
they're just using dead cops.
Yeah, dead soldiers that come back from the war. They ship them back and they just put them all in the Robocops and they all go bonkers. And Robocop, for some reason, some magical reason, he's the only one that isn't crazy.
He's got the special sauce. Like they say that in this movie that it's Murphy himself. That's the secret sauce.
He's a devout Irish Catholic.
Yeah,
he's a family man, which means. I don't know, he has a sense of loyalty or something like that.
Something like that. He was like, I don't know, he's pure of heart.
Right.
The other cops were they show all the failed ones.
To kill themselves.
There's one, they're so horrified by what they've become, but they have that one, it's like basically just like a head in a tin can or like a diving bell.
Right. It's like a skull.
He shoots himself and then like the little sirens go off. Like, some great work by Phil Tippett. He came back for the sequel as well. And then they have that other one that like tears its helmet off and it's just like a rotting skull underneath. Like, what's the point of that? Yeah, so Murphy, so maybe like, they clone Murphy or something. They say they can't replicate what he has.
Cloning is very 90s. They've gotten rid of cloning in every aspect of entertainment.
They would do that now, come on.
Okay.
If they did a Robocop, which they did, by the way.
So they clone Murphy, and they're all like...
It's an army of Murphys.
They all start to degrade. It could be like multiplicity, where they could just get dumber and dumber and dumber the more times you copy the clone.
Yeah.
And then they all go bonkers, and Murphy's got to shoot them all up. And that's one way to do it.
So they're all like dumb.
Yeah, they just get worse and worse and worse. More corrupt, maybe, I don't know. But the way they did it was they completely remade the first one, down to almost every detail, from a drug kingpin being the villain. Yeah,
so we've got Tom Noonan as Kane. He's a bit of a drip in this movie. I mean, like, Tom Noonan, you're always comparing it to the first one, right? Like, Clarence Boddicker and his gang, like...
Can't be topped.
It's as good as Mark, you asshole, you stupid asshole!
It's like the fucking best villain, like, of all time.
They're like
you just
insane.
Hate him so much that it's so thrilling, like when he's getting stabbed and murdered.
Yeah.
Every one of the gang members in that has like such a distinct personality, and you know them, except the Asian guy. He kind of gets shortchanged.
Well, there's also a personal audience connection with hating Boddicker because he they fucking brutally shoot
Oh, it's like such a gross scene.
Murphy so many times, and you're just like, oh, I hate him.
But they're such cruel assholes.
Kane, I don't know, he's just providing high quality designer drugs to people. Like,
Yeah,
I don't really dislike him.
Just the way he's played, I think he's kind of playing him as like this
boring.
chill, like hippie kind of guy. Like
Well, the kid takes over.
he does, yeah. So he becomes like the main villain. That's the kid from
He's in Star Trek.
it's the Next Generation.
And that's it.
But there's a couple of Star Trek connections in this movie.
One of the corporate lawyer guy from
Yeah.
OCP is he plays a guy on an episode called The Hunted. But yeah, and then the kid is in an episode called
I can't remember, but he had like different costumes on or something.
yeah.
Like
He played a kid whose parents, his mother died in an accident or something.
Oh.
Worf and him bond. The bonding, that's what it's called.
Okay.
Worf bonds with him because he's an orphan now.
And then he like backhands a Worf and Worf.
He beats up Worf.
This fucking kid. Yeah, so
It's a very touching episode.
Okay, whatever.
Was in a Star Trek too.
Oh, that's right.
He was on Enterprise.
Oh, was he on Enterprise?
He was
He's in Into Darkness as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a villain on Enterprise.
Oh, never watched Enterprise. I watched a few episodes.
Behave yourselves!
One of the things from this movie, and this is another Star Trek connection, and like, especially in the opening scene where he's gunning all those people down on the streets of Detroit, and you're like, something's not working here, it's missing something, and it's the score. It's Basil Polidorus didn't come back for the sequel, I don't know why.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, this score, it's so generic and weird, and it sounds almost like a Looney Tunes cartoon. It's a lot of clarinets. And
This is what you don't want for Robocop.
it does not work for Robocop at all. And I'm like, why didn't they use the theme? At least the theme song. It's so like dun 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 dun. Nothing, and it's just this weird generic music that just doesn't seem to do anything. And during the end credits, there's even like a choir singing Robocop, Robocop. And the end credit music, I'm like, this sounds really familiar.
Yes, of course.
To the note, and I knew exactly how it was going. And I looked it up, and he did the soundtrack, I forget his name, for The Voyage Home, Star Trek 4.
It's the same exact music.
It's terrible. It sounds like, it's so inappropriate.
Well, it has a little Robocopness, and then it goes into
It sounds like it sounds very inappropriate
Just
for both
reused
Robocop or Star Trek. It sounds like something like the opening shot for like a Christmas Carol or like a Christmas movie. Like,
did they just say like we need some music? Like, what do you got?
I don't understand. I don't understand it.
He just recycled his own score.
Maybe it was like I get, the production was rushed, so maybe it was one of those things like Basil Polidorus is busy. He's working with, I don't know, Paul Verhoeven doing something. Yeah, I don't know why they didn't at least like use the score. And it's just one of those things. It's like all the little ingredients that are kind of missing that work together to make the first one so good.
Well,
you know.
It all led to Robocop 3, so it all worked out in the end.
From some time in the not-too-distant future, it's talking and electronic Robocop. Hands up!
So Robocop is like, it has like all the look of something that could be like marketed for children, like a 80s cartoon show, a Saturday morning cartoon show. It's like Robocop, but it's like
this crazy Dutch director.
Right.
Like-
The original one is just this violent, like, satire of you know, society and corporatism and, you know.
It was like the 80s Reagan era,
Yeah,
like corporate greed
right.
and like
the standard corporate bad guy.
big
and
cars that get shitty gas mileage.
extreme violence. And,
Yeah.
and so maybe it was in that gray area where they made it and they're just like, oh, it just should have taken a route where it's like, it goes to PG and, you know.
Well, they did in the third movie.
Right, and it gets goofy, but they continued the style.
Yeah,
of
which is
Verhoeven's style.
which is good. And to Irvin Kershner's credit,
Is there nudity in the first Robocop? Because Paul Verhoeven loves the nudity.
I think
don't
there is
remember.
some in the change room when the cops are getting changed.
Oh, but not like ladies in the strip club. Boobs or,
no,
there's the
I don't-
cocaine girls, but they're
clothed.
It's really surprising he didn't have
Yeah.
gratuitous nudity.
Constantly.
Constant
He's a
gratuity. Or just
pervert.
one scene where it's like weird boobs come out.
There is, so in this movie, in the second
Cocaine, he
one,
does cocaine off the boobs. And then
Bitches leave.
Bitches leave.
Bitches leave.
but there is a scene in this movie, so it kind of connects to, we were talking about the wife character kind of got dropped. So they probably realized like, oh shit, what do we do? He's kind of completed his character arc in the first movie. So they kind of start over again, and then they're like, we have to bring the wife in somehow. So this corporate lawyer guy, the TNG guy,
Yes.
comes in and he's like, you've been stalking your wife. So they kind of have like, you know, you gotta stop this. And it's
Cut it
like,
out.
you know, he's a cop. What cop hasn't stalked their ex-wife? Like, honestly, they should be promoting him. Like, I'm a cop. That's what I do. I stalk my ex-wife.
Can't have that.
Can't have that.
We can't have that.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, maybe we'll talk about that. But there's this,
So yeah, well, you're right. He's like, what do we do with Robocop? Stop stalking your ex-wife. And then they're like, you're not a person. You're just a brain in a robot suit. And I'm just a brain in a robot suit. Like, say it, Murphy. Say you're not Murphy. Say you're just Robocop.
Yeah.
And he's like agreeing to it, and then
You can tell like his wife kind of comes and he has to say it to her.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's not buying it,
Right.
but he's just doing it for her own sake because she's been in like therapy and stuff, and she's being stalked. But there's a deleted scene I think it's on YouTube, where he's in the police station and he's walking by the showers. So the showers are strangely just a room off of the main hallway.
are the co-ed showers.
I guess so, but he's just watching this woman shower. So it's like this naked woman showering.
Oh, okay.
And it's so awkward. And he's just standing at this door, like watching her for quite a long time as she's showering, and she doesn't know he's there.
Okay.
And then he kind of walks away, and then Lewis comes by and like looks in, sees what he's been looking at, and is like, like kind of disgusted. But I guess it was supposed to show that,
He's still a man.
he still got it.
He's still human.
So I'm
Yeah.
thinking like they kind of missed like an opportunity of making him like a huge pervert.
He's got a point.
Well, then, so we have our the guy who got killed by Boddicker in the first one, the bitches leave scene. He was the guy
Yeah.
who was like in the way of
Ronnie Cox.
Ronnie Cox, aka Captain Jellicoe from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, right.
Classic movie villain. He was in the way of that guy, so they had him killed,
Mm-hmm.
and then blah blah blah. So his version of that, the version of that character in this is the lady.
Yeah, the psychiatrist or something.
Psychiatrist
She's like
lady.
yeah, so she's trying to figure out why all these other Robocops are failing.
Yeah.
So she decides like, maybe we should try. She kind of like starts having an affair with the old man.
Yeah.
Jack
sleeping away to
Jack
the top.
O'Hurley.
Yeah, the old man. He's always just called the old man. He doesn't have a character name.
I like how he's kind of got his little Smithers guy.
Yes, Mr.
And they
Smithers.
walk the same. He's even like imitating like the old man's walk.
Was that the inspiration for Smithers? I've always wondered.
I
Does it
wonder.
predate that?
He's the guy. Yeah, he comes back from the first movie. He was the Go Robo
Mm-hmm.
guy.
This one does have the best line at the end of the movie, though, which Rich and I often quote. When it's
This could look bad for OCP, Johnson. Scramble the best spin team we have.
This is going to look very bad for OCP.
It's like a war zone.
Yeah,
the whole
all these
city's like
innocent people have been
destroyed.
shot. We better scramble your best spin team, and they just move on.
That's exactly how it would happen today, though. You know that.
Yes, yes. That's that satire. That's
Yeah.
still in RoboCop 2. It's not terrible.
Yeah, but then it would be ridiculous.
It should just be called another RoboCop 1.
Yeah.
Like that's the name of the movie.
Robocop 2 TOO.
Oh, TOO.
Yeah, like Teen Wolf.
Because he does fight another big robot at the end.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that in a minute because that leads to from the psychiatrist lady.
Yeah, so she decides she starts having an affair with the old man to kind of like manipulate him, and she says like maybe we should start looking at kind of other people.
Yes.
Like psychos, basically. She starts going through like rosters of.
Is there a reason why? Is she trying to like? It almost seems like she's trying to sabotage the company. It's like such a terrible idea.
I think it's like because the cops see themselves when.
Yeah, they don't make good subjects.
They realize like they're so horrified by what they've become. She wants somebody who's going to embrace this new power.
So she actually thinks it's going to work.
She's like, we need a monster that when they see themselves turned into one, they're going to embrace it.
But then they also are expected to be like police officers that are maintaining the law.
But she wants to control them with the nuke, I guess, because they've established that like most of the city is addicted to nuke.
Okay.
So she gets, I don't know, she starts looking at Kane, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're just like an action scene. Robocop's at a Harley Davidson. Get your motor running. Easy Rider.
Yeah, that was a great scene. I love when he
it was really
that
good.
guy off the bike. He grabs the motorcycle and the guy flings
Oh,
off
yeah.
super fast.
But even like the action scene where Kane is like driving the van and Robocop's like on the
Yes,
side,
yes.
and it's clearly a stuntman, and he's like scraping him against the side of the building and sparks and stuff. It's really great.
I just watched this yesterday, but why does she reprogram him with the lame directives?
I have a feeling it's to sabotage Robocop.
Okay.
So then her Kane,
that's
Robocop
right,
2 can like kind of take control.
Yes, yeah.
Which leads to a really funny scene. So they have this like what do they call it? Like a test group that they bring in.
It was like the boardroom. I think it was the corporate boardroom. Yeah.
But it's like, what's Robocop missing? He's got 3 prime directives that they're all suggesting things like.
He needs to stop shooting his gun so much.
He should, instead of shooting people, he should talk to them instead. And
if he just talked things out with people instead of firing that big gun of his.
Was it like address the environmental issues?
I'd like him to address environmental concerns.
And she's just going, yes, no problem.
He could speak out on environmental issues.
Don't see any reason why not.
So they fill his head with like all this trash, and he's having like this crisis, which
that's the funny scene.
Is really funny.
The Boy Scout or Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts are robbing the electronics store.
It's like it's like a little league team.
A little league, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
With their coach as well, they're robbing like an electronics store. And they're beating the shit out of the owner. And then one of the kids is like filming this little girl like beating the guy with a baseball bat. And he's like, harder, harder.
See, that scene goes a little too far.
Yeah.
I could believe adults are corrupt, but the little children, it's weird.
Well, they've already established like Hobb, this little child is like this horrible monster. Like he's murdering people. He's got that little like fold out gun that he has that looks like a pocket radio.
He's a special case though, because he's in with the bad guys.
Yeah, he's awful. Peter Weller's physical acting is so good in the first one, and I think he even like tops it here because there's that scene where he's kind of posing in front of all the police officers when he's coming out, and he's like, "Oh, look at me!" Like, and then he's
I feel great.
He's like, "It's a lovely day, Lewis." Blah blah blah. He's so funny to watch in this movie. It's just great. So yeah, he gets in this car chase. Kane is severely injured in this car chase.
That's right.
And then the psychiatrist is like, "Ooh, we're gonna take his brain out," which is a really gross scene, like the operating scene.
Yes.
It's mostly the sound effects that
Yes, the sound effects are great. That when he's holding the prosthetic head with the brain gun, talking.
He's like
it looks really good.
Well, they have his brain in a jar, which kind of shows you
That's
what type of movie
it really turns into schlock.
Yeah.
Glorious schlock.
But his brain is like, it's so huge. Like I know Tom Noonan's got like a big head, but this thing is like, this brain, they keep his eyes, he's got these googly eyes.
Yes.
But compared to his eyes, the brain is gigantic.
Yeah.
It's like the size of a basketball. He's got these little like, but you can still see out of his eyes.
Right.
And he's like watching them like talking and like tossing around his head and stuff.
I feel bad for him.
I don't know. He just
wanted to sell designer drugs.
He just wanted to make drugs.
Yeah, nuke. He wanted to make it. He was kind of like a new age kind of weirdo.
Yeah.
He wasn't like a violent criminal like Boddicker. He's like I want to. Almost culty.
Yeah.
He said some lines like that.
Because he sends a video to the news or something. And he's like,
Yeah.
I just want to bring
Right. Yeah, he wasn't about money or power. He was new age guru, drug guru or something. But yeah, he's terrified. And then he's addicted to nuke. And it's just I got the tub of nuke, and he's got the claw.
The claw
it goes in his stomach and.
And later on, it's getting all antsy for the drug. It's
just using the drug to go kill Robocop.
Control him, basically. Yeah. But the design of Robocop 2 is so ugly and clunky, and Robocop, the first one, is very sleek.
Yeah.
It's he's like a new car, you know what I mean? He's got the clear coat and everything.
Well, even ED-209 was it looked like a battle bot, like a robot that meant for combat.
Yeah, this thing just looks like it's made from rusted old cogs and gears, and it's just got. And I guess maybe that was the purpose of the design.
I think. They said that originally the design was just this amorphous creature of metal that had no shape, that was really hard to do, and then they're like, okay, well, let's have it look like a mix between a garbage truck and an old-time knight.
Yeah, okay, the head.
Yeah, and so I assume that the lady kind of put it together quickly just to see if the brain would work. So it's just cobbled together old robot parts from other robots that were that didn't work out. So it's just this and doesn't it growl? No, ED-209 growls like a tiger.
I think it growls too, because they have it's this big monitor comes out, and it's got
it
Kane.
has a face monitor for no reason.
Kane has been Lawnmower Man.
Right. They first son Robocane, the mayor of Detroit.
Oh, he's great.
Mayor Goldie Wilson.
You want Detroit to tear itself apart so you can rate it like you would any other corporation?
Heads to a setup where it's not a setup entirely. It is by the Robocane, but the kid wants to give him a bunch of cash.
Yeah, so he's trying to pay back. The city's trying to pay back the loan to OCP,
so that they could own the city.
So now he's going to do a deal with the devil,
right.
Take this money. So now the criminals are going to own the city. So it's
instead of OCP. So then they could just distribute drugs to everyone legally. Yeah. They wanted to legalize nuke. And then Robocane shows up to bust the deal up. He kills everyone.
That's a great scene.
It is.
Because they're kind of try to hide what he looks like.
Right.
They haven't had the big reveal yet. So they this van pulls up, but you see him get out, and it's just his foot comes down.
Yeah.
It's almost got a raptor claw.
Yeah, it does they have the exact same shot in Jurassic Park where the two claws go and then they move on.
Phil Tippett.
Oh, Phil Tippett.
Stan Winston, that was a puppet.
Yeah.
An animatronic, but Phil Tippett, might have come up with that a little bit.
That's
good.
His signature move.
And then he's got this big rack of spotlights on him, so you never see, it's a great scene.
And then the girl, his muse, she's ooh, okay.
I could get used to
Get
this.
used to this giant, and it's and then he freaks out for some reason. I guess he realizes he's a
monster,
drug-addicted brain in a robot, and then he crushes her skull, and then oh my god. But then suddenly, the movie ends because the old man decides to unveil Delta City to the news reporters at night.
And Robocane.
And Robocane, right. Here's our new robot.
At the same time.
It's like a horrible Frankenstein monster of robots with a psychopath, drug-addicted psychopath.
Just killed the kid, too. The kid has the mayor escapes, and then the kid runs into the van and gets shot, and then I think Robocop shows up.
Yes, that's the funny part is the mayor goes there, and he's all frazzled because he just came out of the sewer. And then he's like, oh, there's the thing.
Yeah.
And then just suddenly Robocop's there.
Didn't he have a moment with the kid as the kid is dying?
Yeah.
And he kind of held his hand,
yes.
and it was this is an
don't
emotional.
Leave me. And then,
okay.
I'll go call for ambulance services. And he goes, no, don't leave me. And then, the kid's I'm dying, right? He's like, yes, probably. Because dying sucks, doesn't it? And then it was a nice little moment.
Yeah.
I like that because the kid seems sort of redeemed.
Yeah.
For his bad activities.
And it's like, Robocop is more human than...
There's a little human connection. They needed more of that in this movie.
Yeah, for sure.
More of him staring at women in the shower, a little creepily.
I would love for them to they just turn him into a complete perv, and it's like Animal House, but it shows him, he just have he's climbing up on ladders to look at his naked wife.
You have the big shootout in the city hall. Oh no, his neck extends.
Show me the tits.
And what's her face calls? I can never remember his partner's name.
Lewis.
Lewis calls him on the radio. Murph, where are you? There's a big shootout happening, and he's standing in the women's locker room. He's at a strip club, sitting there drinking from an oil can.
He's it's like Porky's. He's looking like the little hole, like the screw. And he's zooming in.
Yeah. And then on his video monitor, it just does REC in the bottom.
Prime directive.
Can't have that.
Oh, we can't have that.
So it feels like there's 15 pages of script missing from the shootout in the warehouse, the drug deal or the deal gone bad. And then all of a sudden, the old man is unveiling
Delta City and this monster to the press.
This untested monster.
Yeah.
The only thing it's done is gone and murdered a bunch of people, which I guess the old man didn't know about. The lady did.
Yeah, okay. So
I don't remember, but
he's just using Kane to do her bidding.
And he doesn't really know, he doesn't know about the drugs. The fact that the robot brain is addicted to nuke, and that's how he's being used or functioning, because he takes out the drugs and. I
love that in the background. You just see Kane just looks over at the drugs.
Yeah.
That's all he's focused on, and he's holding it up.
And the old man, he goes like this, and then he throws it.
It's like a disaster waiting to happen. Right. And then Kate starts wrecking the city. This is where we get some of the Frank Miller stuff, the OC. It's so on the nose. The OCP flag outside is the Nazi flag, and they have the armored personnel carrier, or armored tank or something, and then the guy's wearing a Nazi outfit and stuff like that. It's just so on the nose.
A little too obvious there. Yeah.
You can get away with that. It's stuff like Starship Troopers, because it's, you're supposed to believe that these are the good guys, and that it's sort of revealed, when Doogie Howser shows up in this leather Gestapo outfit.
It's afraid.
Oh my God. Are we the baddies?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we get, and this is a great sort of showcase for Phil Tippett's work. Some really good moments in this fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it must have been just crazy to film. Especially the moments when Robocop is hanging onto the back, and then he's got to swing around and stuff like that.
I love the shot in the elevator shaft.
Yeah.
When it figures out a way to crawl up.
He cuts the elevator or something, and then it
flies up.
It just goes into darkness, and then you hear this gong, 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 gong.
It's got those cool claws, and it stops itself, and then it goes like a spider almost.
Yeah.
It's an ugly robot, but it's cool because it's scrapped together.
It's like a Swiss Army knife or something.
Yes.
It has all these different contraptions that can come out.
That's actually how they described how they wanted it to be.
Oh, okay.
So just this fully functional monstrosity.
Yeah, even the proportions are really weird. It's got these little tiny legs and.
Oh, I think they said a football player mixed with a knight.
Yeah, okay. Because he had huge upper
body.
torso. Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, he has a monitor. With his face.
Yeah, it's just there for the audience.
For sure.
We could see Kane emoting.
But I love how his POV, it's got a Mac menu at the top. It's got the drop-down menus.
I don't remember that. But.
This is Robocop's the old school. Yeah, and they get in a cool fight here, and Robocop rips his brain out.
That's the icing on the cake.
Yeah.
He smashes the brain on the ground, and then for good measure, he smashes it again with his fist. Even though clearly it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Once you smash the brain on the ground, but might as well just squish it one more time.
Serious trouble, sir. So many dead and wounded.
Of course, there won't be any trouble from the dead ones.
They'll have relatives. They always do.
Who's the real monster?
Yeah. I kind of like
Kane is the hero in the film. He just wants to provide people with drugs.
make everybody happy.
Yeah, make everybody feel good. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No, I don't think so.
It's a tragedy. It's a tragic story. The death of Kane. He's a hero.
It's
Folk
like,
hero.
we've legalized it in Canada.
Right, nuke.
We've got weed. We've got nuke. We have all the nuke dispensaries.
Go to Canada.gov and order your nuke.
Yep.
From Justin Trudeau.
Your nuke gummies, Justin Trudeau.
Does he personally deliver it on a bicycle?
He's a huge fan of Robocop 2.
Okay.
And he's like, this Kane has some good ideas. He puts on his funny socks, and then he goes, rides his bicycle, and then he legalizes all the drugs.
He went as the Detroit mayor for Halloween. Mayor Goldie Wilson. I think the mayor is a little over the top in the performance department, if you ask me.
I think it's funny because it contrasts. Like, he's always talking to the old man and OCP, and they're very kind of dry.
Yeah,
and stuff
I
like
guess,
that. But it's funny.
He's a little cartoony or comical. He needs to just be like really kind of mad.
He's a bit of a hothead. I love when he's like leaving the room and he's like, okay.
Yeah. It's a little too silly, but it's okay.
Senile old bastard.
Fuck you! You senile bastard!
Robocop smashes a brain in a jar
There you
at
go.
the end of the film, so anything can happen in the movie. I'll be happy with it. It's almost like the Robo-Cane itself. It's like a hobbled together,
clunky mishmash of things.
Mishmash of different parts.
We wanted the score to be a Swiss Army knife of music.
Yes, it makes no sense whatsoever.
Cobbled together.
Addicted to brain in a jar that's addicted to drugs.
Just mashed together into a really bulky thing.
I think that doesn't make sense
Yeah.
whatsoever,
It
but
just
it's kind of neat.
And you open it and it says, Robocop, Swiss Army knife, Army knife.
What a great film. It's a fucking great film.
It's good, it's fun, yeah. It's got some really good, it's got some very high highs, which I think
Yes.
that are just as good as the first one, I would say.
Yeah.
And I was very happy that it kind of kept the tone right from the beginning. I think, the first like 20 minutes, 25 minutes are great. Yeah. It's just like, it's firing on
It didn't
all
take
cylinders.
the PG route, which is great.
Thank God.
So many people get shot. The tagline on the movie is like Robocop 2, like he's here to protect the innocent or something. It's just like thousands of people get shot in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
He does not protect any innocent people whatsoever.
Poster is him like smashing through
He saved a baby.
Oh, that's a great scene.
The drug raid scene, we didn't even talk about that.
Oh, that's fantastic.
This is a bust.
This is the best. And
And
then the
everyone's,
guy
everyone's just like, what? What the fuck?
he grabs the baby, the baddie's like, I gotta kill the baby. It's like, we can't have that.
The famous we can't
Nope.
have that. Yep. His,
Then he does like the little ricochets, like doing the trajectory.
So bad, but so good. Robocop 2.
It's good, very entertaining movie.
Yeah, it's a lesser, dumber version of Robocop 1, but still just as much fun and creative. It's pretty much sums it up.
Yep.
With an Elvis corpse.
Can't
Every
have that.
movie needs one.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.
I'll buy that!